cups. So I need to go back to the shapes. I'm going to click on whichever shape I like best for this. What shape do I want for my cups? Here? Yeah, why not? And again, I like to make one and then make copies. So I need to choose a size that I think will work well. I'm going to try this size. And then I'm going to say, again, I'm going to click in there. I'm going to say Control C, Control V, and I need 5. So I'm going to say Control V a couple more times to make all my copies. So I have all of my cups at the same time. And then I'm just going to move them where I want them. Okay. I'm not positive I chose the right size here. Well, maybe we'll have to move one over because this one is going to be the rubbing alcohol. So maybe that can be in a different spot. We'll have to see. All right. I think that's good. Maybe we want that there. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could even just do this on one, and then you could make another drawing with the rest of this. I just want to try playing with it all in one. I'm just trying to decide where I want everything, because it's a little easier to move it now than it is later, but I can move it later if I want to. So remember I made my tweezers and I talked about dipping it in, right? And then I put it into these 4, and then from here I put them up here. So actually I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here and move these over here. Now they're not in order, so I gotta rearrange. It will help me do it right if I let it. There we go. There. Okay. So this is going to be my rubbing alcohol with the tweezers. And I need 4 discs, right? Maybe I'll put it down here. Like I said, I'm just playing with where I want to put it. I need to make my tweezers, which I have no idea what I want to use to make my tweezers. I don't even know. Maybe we won't make the tweezers. Maybe it would just be easier just to put directions for dipping them. Dip tweezers in alcohol and burn with fire. I think that might be a better option. Let me get this message out of our way. You can play around with it, but I think I'm just gonna put directions there. Or you know what I can do? I can find a picture of tweezers on the internet. So I'm gonna say insert image. I gotta search. I'm gonna look for tweezers. I'm still in caps. Aha. See? I'm going to choose my sharp pointed ones here. Select it. Okay. Changing my mind again. You notice how I keep changing my mind? That's because I'm not positive where I want to put things here. Oops. Oops, why am I doing that? I don't know. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to label this. I think if I double click inside, it will, yes, give me a text box. So we're going to call this the alcohol. Okay. You can change the color of this too. So you can kind of color code things if you wanted to. That's up to you. Okay. We're going to label these. So we'll double click on these. And this is going to be my Pine-Sol. Oops. Double click. This is going to be my lemon Pine-Sol. My lavender Pine-Sol. And you see how it's not perfect? We'll worry about that in a minute. And this is my control. All right, I'm going to double click on this. And I'm going to make this word a little smaller. Well, it'll have to be a little smaller. There we go. There are other ways I could make everything bigger, but I don't feel like playing around like that. Maybe I can move it up to 11. There we go. Okay. So that way they all stay the same. All right. So I'm going to draw arrows in between things, and I also technically need a lighter, don't I? So I think I'm going to move this around to here, and we'll put the lighter. All right, I told you I keep moving things around. I don't know where I want things just yet. So I need to find a picture of a lighter again. So again, I go to Insert Image, Search, and I'm going to put a lighter. Ooh, I kind of like the idea of one that's lit. Ooh. I like that one. Okay. Make it smaller so that it can kind of go. Maybe I'm going to need to diagonalize this to fit it all. I'm trying to make sure I leave room for my, yeah, I'm going to move these over. Sorry, I just keep changing my mind. Okay. Diagonalize this a little bit more. All right. Move this over a little bit more. So there's all sorts of other arrows you can use. I kind of thought I might label this, you know, with a big number 1 up here and then number 2 to show like this is what you're doing next. It's up to you. You're going to talk about it in your actual meeting, but it's nice to kind of have a way to that you already know what you're talking about here. So that's why we do this, and why it's good to have a couple key things on here just to remind you. You can talk about it more in your meeting. Okay, so you can have a big number 1, a big number 2 if you want, or you can just talk about how you do this first, and then you do this second, and then you put it onto the here next, and then you know, it's just nice to have a little bit of a leading thing so that their eye has something to follow. So I can do arrows this way. I thought it might be cool to show you though that you can do arrows using this, and it's a little bit more funky sometimes. I'm gonna try this one. And then I'm going to try to flip it. Nah, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Delete it. It's just, let's keep it simple. You can play if you want. I don't have time here. I got lots of things to do. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to do the arrow here. Actually, that's not a good arrow. Here. And then I'm going to go back to this arrow because I can't delete this little arrow without being on that. Okay. And I don't like that end. So actually, if you go to your end like this, you can move your end like that. Okay. So we're going to change the weight. Not as big as last time. All right. And then I got to make my 4 little circles, which will be my little. So go to shapes, circles. I got to make some little guys. And again, once I make one, I like to Control C, Control V to make the others so that they're all exactly the same size. Maybe I'm going to move these like this to kind of show how each one will be. Like this. Except they're not all perfectly aligned. I'm going to have to fix that. There we go. Okay. And then I need some text boxes. So I'm going to say dip. We're going to call them forceps because it's the science word. Dip forceps into alcohol. Then light on fire to sterilize. Okay, and then I'm going to make this smaller, fatter, see? All right. And then we'll make another text box. We're going to use this as our example. Okay. Okay. Using sterilized forceps, dip each paper disc into the corresponding liquid and place in the appropriate quadrant. Repeat two times, sorry, no, 2 times. All right. So I could show that more, but that's fine, I think. Okay. And then I should probably just make arrows showing that each one goes to each one like this. There we go. Okay. And then if you want to get crazy, you can point where it's going. Pine Sol goes to this one. Honestly, I would just do that once. I don't even know if I want to do that, but it's there if you want it, okay? And again, if I want to make some of these lines a little thicker, I don't want to make that huge one thicker, but this little one I might want to make thicker. There we go. Oops, sorry. Okay, there we go. I don't want to make it too crazy with that. So like that's why I was thinking of having this stuff on this side. So we could just arrow it up easy. It's just the way I decided to do it, but I think if I was going to do it again, I would have swapped the places. So if you're watching this total thing before you do it, that's what I would do. Make sure to label your drawings so you can find it again, okay? I'm gonna label this experimental setup example. Okay? And then again, you just go to File,